No, there's very little argument about that in economics. If you add a new tax to an economy, it has a depressing effect on the economy. So that in itself is questioned as any time you're going to bring a tax in is how people are going to afford that in the economy and what impacts is it going to have. Believe me, I thought long and hard before we proposed the jail levy, because I knew that there were people that it was going to be difficult for them to pay that extra property tax. A carbon tax tends to affect energy bills. And we had a discussion earlier about homelessness and the difficulty, and one of the last things people pay is their energy bill. So we need to think carefully about how it impacts the economy. It will impact the economy. No matter how it's structured, it's the nature of the tax. Because what you're doing is taking money out of the economy in the form of a tax and then trying to redistribute it in some efficient way through government, which tends to not be the most efficient distributor of capital in the economy. I mean, it's just, kind of natural that somewhere along the way, its plans don't work well, or it gets utilized in weird ways, or given to companies that, sounded great and then didn't work. I believe there was 2 companies that got, the stimulus package money that actually went bankrupt after we got $100 million worth of taxpayer money. So I think we need to be careful when we start considering a new tax. Who's going to end up being hurt by it? Quite often, it's the people on the lowest end of our economic ladder. So we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
As has been stated by several other answers to the question, it's really hard to comment on something that you don't have knowledge of. But I'll start out by saying I'd be foolish to tell you whether I supported a carbon tax or not. I have spent a great deal of time with a gentleman by the name of Moshe Emmerman. He presented that idea of a carbon tax to me at one point, and the bottom line is how is it structured and how is it going to impact the individuals. Carbon tax that he proposed would have been on oils, tires, costs of operating vehicles. That in turn potentially could increase your grocery costs and different items that get shipped by those vehicles that use them and would probably be paying the tax. So you need to have a full understanding. Second is we looked as a board several years ago about carbon sequestration and carbon credits for the county's timberland. And the fact of the matter is that right now there's very limited, if no markets for that, and the return on that right now is non-existent. So it's hard to justify going to a program in that area. And just to kind of maybe give my remembering of the ICLEI issue at Lane County. Mr. Matthews came to the county and persuaded the board to put it in the budget. The board actually, I believe, directed staff to enter into an agreement with ICLEI, and yes, it was only a few $1,000s to get to be a member. But what wasn't told was that the fact that we were going to have to put together some pretty extensive plans and analysis of our impacts, that in which, if we looked at our neighboring partner in the city of Eugene, they spent over $200,000 to do that work. And quite frankly, Lane County at the time was facing, I believe, one of its record budget deficits. And for me to continue on or support spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on putting together a plan to meet the requirements to be a member of ICLEI, it's more than a couple $1,000s. And if I remember rightly, Mr. Matthews did offer to provide that service for a much reduced rate. So he did want to get a job out of it.
Well, I do not support a carbon tax for the big business. I think that whoever you are, you need to manage your excrement instead of just spewing it into the atmosphere. And essentially what it's going to boil down to is people aren't going to be able to use their wood stoves. because the environment will be polluted because they're paying a mere $30 a ton to spew their carbon into the atmosphere, and we don't really need that. They don't call this the Valley of Sickness for nothing. We get air inversions here, and the air gets trapped. And the way the airport is positioned, and the more the jets start coming in, the superheated air prevents the trade wind from coming down in here and cleaning our atmosphere out. And so in the future, it's only going to be trapped more, and we don't need that kind of influence in our valley. It's breaking out the little people, polluting our air, making us sick. But it seems to me that if we are going to have a carbon tax, how come the slash burners don't pay their carbon tax? Or the Forest Service, who's constantly burning the forest, don't pay their carbon tax? Maybe the federal government should be giving us some kickback because of all the burning that they're doing. I don't see them paying a carbon tax. Maybe I'm mistaken, but in fact, it almost looks like they're waging war on us. So you think like the fire that we talked about earlier, that we spent $70 million of our public safety or public service budget that we no longer have. Somebody got $70 million. Now they get to go in and log wilderness, like in the Biscuit Fire, that's supposed to be conserved wilderness. It's almost like there's a little bit of a conspiracy there to steal our resources and our money and put us in a bad position, and they get to burn at their leisure. And so maybe we're not focusing on the right issues here, because it looks like the federal government is waging war on us through the BLM, through the Forest Service, through the Army Corps of Engineers, the NSA, Homeland Security. These people are taking advantage of us, and we need to be more concerned about our own welfare.
Before I hand it back over to Caleb, we'll each have time for a 1-minute conclusion, starting with candidate Moore, and followed by candidate Wright.
Thank you for coming out this evening. Did I mention that I'm hardworking? Besides my civic responsibilities, I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and we currently host 3 international students. I have a large yard and garden and chickens. I'm active in my church and I host a weekly care group. Did I mention that I'm hardworking? What does that have to do with the current election? Well, people can vote for 4 more years of the same or hire a new Springfield representative who brings many years of experience and a can-do attitude to the job. I believe the people of Springfield want to change, a commissioner who is fully engaged in governing and willing to work hard with the citizens as well as the rest of the commissioners to make Lane County the great place to live and work that I know it can be. Thank you.
I'm not sure that I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say, but I think before any tax happens, that it should be a direct vote by the voters. Anything, because it's our money. And I think they could really rein in waste. Even like this new administrator, they hired out for people to pick the 5 or 6, whatever. Well, why didn't they just look at the applications themselves? Why did they have to hire out for that? That was tens of thousands of dollars. Anyway, that's one of my main points. Sometimes when people have a really cushy setup, they don't really understand how difficult it is and how much. Okay, thanks.
I've worked with Commissioner Stewart on a variety of committees and advised the board, and Faye's a gentleman, and by and large, and I'm not running against him because of any personal animosity in the least, occasional slander of a hardworking volunteer notwithstanding. However, he's the only commissioner on the board who voted for his own pay increase. At the height of the recession, he's voted for a sales tax, an income tax, property tax increases. and went to the state to try to use the dump fee as a kind of tax. More taxes is not what we need. Working together at the grassroots to build prosperity in Lane County, rural communities and neighborhoods, working together respectfully, based on the facts and our own creativity, that's what we need.
Well, society has swept around the world to wash up on our western shores. So we free-thinking people need to turn back and show the rest of society how to cope with the inequities of our modern world. A great man once said that those with the ability and the knowledge to deal with these inequities have the duty to do so. You know, we're admired by many people everywhere for our beliefs, our intelligence, and our spirit. Therefore, it's our duty, I believe, to take the time and the effort to show others how to rise up from the quagmire of social, economic, and moral stagnation. You know, Oregon is an Indian word that means freedom. And if you vote for me, I hope to help us retain the few that we have left.
Well, it's truly been an honor to serve the last 10 years as the East Lane County Commissioner. There's nothing more gratifying than helping somebody in need. Stepping in when 104 residents are going to lose their water service, don't know how to fix the problem, they can't do it themselves. Working with our staff to find a solution, and today those folks have water. This afternoon I spent a couple hours at Mount Pisgah Arboretum, learning about the great work that they're doing out there and helping share my knowledge of fundraising and abilities to see if I can help them move their next great project forward. Or working with Oak Ridge to hopefully be successful in having an Amtrak stop there to help promote their city and offer new opportunities for their citizens. That's why I'm running, is to improve, to continue to work hard for the citizens, to improve our communities. And there's nothing more gratifying than doing that. In Cottage Grove, I've been part of a project that took an old brownfield 15-acre railroad site and turned it into a brand new park.
First, I'd like to thank the College Republicans for holding this event and Emerald Publications for moderating and recording it. I hope I got the name correct. You know, I'm not a mother, but I am a concerned citizen. And I've been an involved citizen in this community. I'm a former Rotarian. I helped start a volunteer library in River Road, Santa Clara. I'm currently a Lions Club member. I'm on the board of the Three Rivers Foundation. I am out and involved in my community. I'm a member of every Chamber of Commerce in my community. In fact, I was just endorsed by the Eugene Chamber of Commerce Board by unanimous vote yesterday. Go to my website, jbozovich.org, and look at all the people that have endorsed me for re-election. The public safety officials believe that I am the correct person to solve our public safety problems. The business people think I am the person to keep us economically viable. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you this evening. I appreciate your time and attention and your participation in this really important process. I've been knocking on thousands of doors throughout the West Lane County District, and I'm hearing over and over again people feel that their trust has been violated. They are tired of scandals and backroom deals and cover-ups. They are tired of redistricting that doesn't take into account, that disenfranchises voters. And they want to see collaborative, solutions-oriented leadership, and that's what I bring. And if you live in West Lane County, I ask for your vote, and if you know people in West Lane County, I ask for you to tell them about me and go to my website and see a much more diverse and also long list of endorsers that is, and there's over 500 strong donating to my campaign because it's a tough thing taking on an incumbent, and you'll see that people have risen up to help do just that because of concerns about the way it's going.
Thank you again for the invitation this evening, much appreciated. I frankly do not use endorsements.